Well, hey, ladies, this is your next episode of the Purpose, Power, and Profit Society. I'm your host. I'm Kymberly Smith, your purpose catalyst, and I'm here to help you identify your purpose, transform your pain into power, and activate your genius so you can start creating multiple streams of income. And today, I'm so hyped because Season 2, I wanted it to be extremely different than Season 1. Season 1, I wanted you to get your mind right. I wanted you to start thinking that you could, like the little, what is it, the train that says, I think I can, I think I can. I wanted you to do that, but then in Season 2, we're coming at you with everything you need to be successful in either your side hustle, your full-time solopreneurship, or if you're starting a nonprofit or you want to connect with a nonprofit. Either way, we're bringing you everything that you need. So what I decided to do was make sure you had a repository of everything from how do I identify my purpose, how do I become whole, and most importantly, which is why we have our guest here tonight, Miss Atiya Brown. How do I manage my money? Right now, 2018 has been the year of, 1, I'm going to get my credit up, and 2, I am going to be debt-free by the end of the year. It has not changed. People are getting extra jobs. They're creating side hustles. They're doing practically everything they can because they have financial goals. So we decided to partner and bring you 4 money management tips for financial success. So Atiya Brown, aka the Savvy Accountant, she's so cute. I love her. Why don't you tell them about yourself and what you do?
Hey everyone. So thanks for having me on. I'm so excited to be here. So I'm Atiya, the Savvy Accountant, and I've been a CPA by trade for about 12, 13 years. But my passion is like personal finance and teaching people how to build generational wealth, get rid of their debt, and so they can increase their net worth. And so I created the Live Financially Savvy podcast to basically help people live their best financial lives. And so what I do is I just give them tips on how they can better manage their money, how they can pay down their debt. And I just essentially want us to live our best financial lives, live financially savvy. It means different things to different people, but the gist of it is to get a grasp of your money so you know what it's doing instead of wondering what it's doing and where it's going, and you tell it where to go. And so that's what I do.
I like that. A lot of times our money tells us where it's going.
Yep.
But I love the fact that you said you tell your money where to go.
Yep.
So can you tell us, like, really quickly, I know it might not, is it one of the 4 tips about how you tell your money where to go?
Yeah, so that's actually my tip number 1.
Okay, break it down for us. So listen, we're doing 4 tips. I hope you're not driving, but in case you are, come back to this podcast and download and take notes, because Atiya is about to school us. Class is in session, and you have already completed your registration. When the ad drop, like, you're taking this class, whether you like it or not. So Atiya, hit us off with number 1.
So number 1 for me is create your healthy money menu. And so healthy money menu for me is what I call, it's a budget, but I call it a healthy money menu. I like it to be different. And I think budget has like a negative connotation for some people. And so healthy money menu sounds good, and it sounds healthy, and it sounds prosperous. And so I just want people to look at it as basically, like I said before, you tell your money where to go. And so your healthy money menu is your income and your expenses. I typically tell my clients to track their expenses for 3 months. So go back to 3 months worth of financials, 3 months bank statements, and you track that for 3 months so that you get your spending. Because instead, as opposed to telling you to start from today and track for 3 months, I think that your spending is going to be curbed. You're going to be cognizant of where you're spending. And so I want you to have a realistic view of what you're actually spending and where you've spent. And so that's why I tell people to go back 3 months of their tracking and their expenses, and then to create categories, because everybody's going to have mortgage or rent, food, and then like utilities, stuff like that. But I want you to be like real specific with your categories. So be real intentional with where you're spending your money. So food, but there's groceries. If you eat out lunch, I want you to note that in your categories. If you go out to dinner twice a week, 3 times a week, I want you to note that and make these categories so that basically at the end of your healthy money creation, you're going to be able to tell your money where to go. You're allocating where you want your money to go instead of just spending and then wondering, well, where did my money go? And so once you get down to your categories, I want you to have everything. Like I'm a big birthday celebrator. Like this is what I do. Like I love birthdays. I love people's birthdays. So I go all out for birthdays. So I have every month, I have a birthday category. Like I'm going to spend money for whoever my family's birthday is. I'm going to do it. So there's no point in not putting the category in there and then spending money and then messing up my healthy money menu. So I categorize for that. And so I just want people to create their healthy money menu. Income, it's essentially income minus expenses, and then you get your bottom line. And with your healthy money menu, there's ways that you can increase your bottom line. And so you can increase your income, which is harder than it sounds probably, right? Because if you have a 9 to 5, that's unless it's bonus time or you're getting a raise, you can't really increase that. So you can come up with side hustles, you can do stuff to increase your income, but that is typically for the typical person like harder to do. So reduce your expenses. That's a lot easier to do. So once you figure out where you're spending and what you're spending, you can reduce those categories. So I like to tell my clients, think about your groceries. That's probably a high one. So I used to go to the groceries and not make a list at all. That was not smart. Like, who does that, right? So then I started making a list.
And then I still
I'd make a list and then I still go every aisle and just get whatever I want. Mm-hmm. So what did I make the list for? So I actually recently started like advocating, telling people to do like the online list when they get it for you, and then you do like curbside pickup or you go pick it up. And that has definitely eliminated a lot of my extra spending.
This is why you're the savvy accountant. That was savvy.
Thank you. And so I find that helps so much. And because even if I forget something, I can go get one thing or I do without. Like if I'm home and I'm cooking something and I'm like, oh, I forgot to get this, I kind of tweak what I need to get instead of going to the grocery store saying, oh, I want to cook this, this, and this, and I'm going to get this, this, and this, and then I don't end up using it or I don't end up cooking that. So I find it's very helpful to use the online shopping or they buy it for you. So I don't do my produce there and my meats just because, I like to see that stuff, but my cereal, my oatmeal, like stuff like that, my eggs, my bread, like those things are real simple.
That is good.
They don't make mistakes. They have a thing where they have substitutions. So when they bring it out to you, they tell you, oh, we didn't have this, but we put this. So you can either say yes or no. So you can even save more money. Like, oh, they didn't have what I wanted. So I can no, I won't take that.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
So what do you recommend for people to use when they're tracking? I know my bank offers like a tracking program. Mm-hmm. So I could go back those 3 months and I could take a look at that. And it even gives me a cute little pie graph and it tells me this is what I think you spent on, and it categorizes. Yep. And then it allows you to go in and edit those categories based on, let you, whether it's right or wrong. Yep. So what do you recommend for those people who don't have that with their current financial institution?
And so that's a good question. So I'm like an Excel junkie and I do a lot of things in Excel. And so because of my job, we actually use Excel a lot. And so I'm just used to it. And I actually created a template for a healthy money menu in Excel. And so I have that's available, but there's also a lot of apps. And like you said, there's Mint app, there's You Need a Budget app. I actually personally use Personal Finance, which it's like an app where it keeps track of all your investments, all your bank accounts. And it does have like a feature that does show you your spending and stuff, but I don't use it for that. So I use it literally to show my net worth. So it's like a net worth app where it shows you link all your accounts and it shows you your credit cards, your investments, your 401ks. You could link all of that and you can see, and it tells you like what your net worth is based on your credit and your accounts. And so I use it for that, but there's a feature in that is for the tracking of your spending. And so there's like You Need a Budget app. YNAB. There's Mint. So there's a lot of different apps that you can use. And I mean, in this day and age, a lot of people are tech savvy, and so they might think that might be easier for them. That might help them.
Mhm.
And so there's those apps. I personally use Excel and I track daily. But that's just me because I'm still an accountant, and so I like entering stuff in Excel. So like I do my family's budget like in Excel, and so I do that.
Wow. Yeah, I have a friend who purchased like a budgeting planner from Michael's
Mhm.
and then set it up some type of way, and like it's kind of sickening to me because this chick decides that she is going to go in and every night go into this planner and budget manually.
If it
I'm sick
works
of
for
her.
you, if it works, it works. Because some people feel better doing that, and that might help her curb her spending. Like,
No, I mean it does, but I don't like like. Why do you have to get off the phone with me because you need to go budget in your planner? Do you know how you multitask? We have
that's
things to do.
fun.
Anyway, okay, that was a side note. It was not even relevant to this, and I probably should be happy that she's a planner like that.
Yeah,
I mean, it works for her family. It doesn't do
it
anything.
does. Nope.
All right. So tip number 2. So number 1 was create a healthy. What was it?
Healthy money menu.
Healthy money menu.
Yeah.
This is cute. Like it's so cute. Okay. Number 2.
So number 2, I think is very important is your emergency fund. And so I think that you definitely need to have your emergency fund. And so there's 2 kinds that I talk about. And so typically you have your $1,000. You try to have $1,000 emergency fund. That's basically if anything that happens, like your car can break down, like your child can hurt themselves and you have to take them to the hospital. Like there's so many things that can happen and that you haven't planned for. So it's not going to be in your healthy money menu.
Mm-hmm.
And you just don't want to have to use your credit card for it because there's statistics out there that like 40% of Americans, if an emergency happened, they'd have to borrow or use credit. And so this is just somewhat a way to curve that, right? So just have $1,000 cash that you can access in the event that something like that happens. And so the second emergency fund that I like to tell my clients to use to think about is a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. So there are so many different people in different stages. So if you have your 9 to 5, that 3 to 6 month emergency fund can be considered your I'm sorry, this is life. You got laid off. You still have
Mm-hmm.
obligations you're going to have to pay
Mm-hmm.
while you're looking for another job. You have like if you have kids, like these are things that it's not going to stop because unfortunately you lost your job
Mm-hmm.
and you might not get a severance. So these are just things and ways to help yourself. If you get a severance, even better, obviously. Like, but that's why you need that 3 to 6 months. Think about, some people call it an FU fund. So if you have a 9 to 5 and you have a side hustle that you're working on and it's starting to grow and you want to quit your job, you actually can quit your job responsibly and you can have 3 to 6 months worth of expenses while you grow your business to get it where you need it to get. And so that you're not really worried about what are you going to do now that you quit your job. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's up. And so that's why I tell people those 2 emergency funds. And granted, $1,000 to save $1,000 is probably a lot simpler than 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. But so the $1,000, I consider that like an urgent need. That's something that everybody should have. And the 3 to 6 months, I think that's something that you should be building towards. So in your healthy money menu, have a line that you're sending $20 every paycheck or 25, like whatever amount you can afford from your bottom line,
Mm-hmm.
send that to that one. And so fund that one over time so that it's there in case you need it.
Okay, I like it. So the emergency savings, and I think that is the first time that I've heard someone say 1,000. I think most people think it should be like between 400 to 600.
Mhm.
But right now, with the way things cost,
Yep.
You tell people to, almost like when you're renting and you know how they put your security deposit in a bank
Hmm.
and no one can touch it, but if
Yep.
the rent increases, they have to ask you for the additional. Do you tell people to, even if you have 1,000, keep that in one account and put
Yep.
6 months in another?
Yep. And so that's like comes into with my free resources. So I have like certain free resources that I talk about a lot. And one of them is like an online savings account. So Goldman Sachs, which is now Marcus, they have like a 1.6% interest rate that they give to their online savings account. And so I tell people to put their emergency funds in those kind of accounts.
Mm-hmm.
Because for one, you don't get a card. So you're not going to have a debit card that you're going to be tempted to spend your emergency fund on something that's not an emergency. And at the same time, it's actually growing for you. So it's growing at a higher rate than your checkings account is going to grow. So you're going to actually be accumulating more money. So let's say you're sending $50 every month. It's going to take you a lot. It's going to take you less time to get to the 1,000 because they're actually giving you 1.6 interest on that. And so I tell people to save their emergency funds in a separate account that they don't have that easy of access to. So it can be transferred back to you very simply. I think it's like 1 to 2 days or something, but it's in that account. So it's separate from your regular checking account that your debit card is associated with. And so I definitely recommend that.
How do you feel about, because direct deposit is everything right now, how do you feel about people doing direct deposits into their emergency savings accounts?
Oh, definitely recommend that. I definitely tell people, because imagine I definitely believe in paying yourself first. So imagine you paying yourself first, and before you even see your check, you have paid yourself. So you don't even, it takes the saving part out of it because you have already done that. You automated it, so you're not even going to miss it. And so I definitely recommend automatic transfers. A lot of companies, if you still have your 9 to 5, a lot of companies let you have multiple accounts. And so send the $25, send the $50, send it directly to the other account so you don't even see it. And so I definitely recommend that.
I think it alleviates me having to do it manually, because if I
Exactly.
say I'm doing $25 or $50 or even $100 every paycheck, and the first time I see a sale on a good pair of shoes, I'm like, I'll do it as soon as I buy these shoes.
Yep.
And then I forget.
And so I think it just comes from like changing your mindset, and it'll benefit you. And so I'm definitely an advocate of thinking of the future and building generational wealth. And it starts small. Like you just have to change your habits, and your habits are going to form, and then you can go from there. So I definitely, I'm such an advocate for telling people to do it automatic. If your job allows you to have more than one account, send it directly. So then you don't even have to have the line on your healthy money menu because it went automatically.
And even if you are an entrepreneur, you can still have it go automatically from
Yep.
your savings and checking accounts.
Yep.
Like I know my bank
Pay
does it
yourself first.
Yeah, you can send it right off and set that up. Make
Yep.
sure you have a good emergency savings account.
Yep.
Okay, so the healthy money menu. I did the emergency savings is number 2. Hit us with number 3.
So number 3 might not apply to everybody, but it's something that definitely needs addressing when it comes to money management is debt repayment. So you definitely need to have a plan. I know a lot of people suffer with having high debt balances, and so it can be very stressful. And I know money can be a topic that gives people anxiety, but I think that you just need to have a plan. So you need to come up with a debt repayment plan. You need to basically know your balance, know what you're working with, know what you need to be working down, and create a plan and then execute it. So like we talked about creating your healthy money menu, you need to have a line for your debt. You need to know what you're going to be paying towards your debt so you can pay it and start paying it down. And number 2 and number 3 can be done simultaneously, and I think they should be, because I definitely think that you need to pay yourself first and you need to take care of your obligations. And I personally don't advocate telling people to pay all debt and they're not funding an emergency fund or they're not funding for the retirement, because that's taking care of your future. And so I definitely believe that you need to take care of both at the same time. Granted, the amounts that you can give to both is going to depend on where you are in your debt journey, where you are with your savings. So there's different factors, but I definitely think you can do both at the same time. And I definitely recommend both. So if you have debt, I think the number 3 on your money management needs to be you taking care of your debt and coming up with a debt repayment plan and tackling that. Because if you're talking about building wealth, I mean, that's going to be a definite hindrance in doing that. And so it just needs to be addressed. And as scary as it might feel, there are so many options that people don't realize. So
I like that. And I think that right now, like I said, everyone wants to be debt free.
mm-hmm.
Everybody is, working towards getting that better credit score. So I think it's definitely imperative so you're saying debt repayment needs to be line items on your healthy money management.
I definitely think
healthy money menu.
Yeah, healthy money menu. Yep, I definitely think so. Because you need to know how much you need to put towards your debt. And so you need to allocate your money to go towards your debt.
And not just disposable
exactly
debt, such as utilities, car notes.
Exactly. Insurance. So you need to have your consumer debt, if that's where your student loans, like if you're tackling your student loans. So these are all things that need to be considered because they all affect your bottom line, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I like it. Okay, so the healthy money menu, emergency savings, and debt repayment. Now, what's funny is, and I hope everyone is following, that tip number 2 and tip number 3 are all included in tip number 1.
Yep.
So we're being real thorough tonight. This is really awesome. So the last and final tip, give us number 4.
So I mentioned several times that I'm an advocate of wealth building, and I definitely think that number 4 for me, it's insure and invest. And so I definitely think that you need to definitely protect what you create. So that could be taken many ways. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you're doing your side business, you need to make sure you're protecting your genius. You need to make sure you're protecting your product, you're protecting your services, because this is your breadwinner. This is what's making you money. This is what's providing for you and your family. So you need to make sure you protect it. And whether that's in dealing with trademark copyrights, you need to make sure you protect it. You have insurance on your car, and that's not by accident. That's because they are protecting their asset. If you are leasing a car, you have to have insurance because they're protecting their asset. So you need to protect your asset. Your most valuable asset is yourself. Mm-hmm. And life insurance is a topic that a lot of people don't like to address because, let's be honest, it's not affecting you personally. It's not something you're going to benefit from, even though I do have an episode on my podcast where we talk about it, and there are benefits for you while you're living. But think about your family. One of the fastest ways to build generational wealth is if you pass away, your family can start building wealth from an insurance policy. Mm-hmm. And I am passionate about everybody finding personal finance and building wealth, but I'm extremely passionate about people that look like me. And we just don't talk about life insurance enough, and we should. And so many, we are so far behind when it comes to being equal with some of our counterparts, and life insurance is a major factor. Do you understand how many conversations? It breaks my heart when people pass away and then they have to do GoFundMe, and it's
no idea that
heartbreaking. They had none, and it's and so that's one side that's heartbreaking. And then the other side, when older family members passed away, and that's unfortunate. But when my neighbor's older grandparents pass away and they get $1 million settlement, we're not on the same level anymore.
No, because I have to pay for your funeral expenses.
Exactly.
and you being cremated and all that great stuff, because you chose not to tell us beforehand that you didn't have insurance so we can handle it. Yeah.
So I definitely think insure and invest. When I talk about invest, there's different assets, there's different levels to it, and of course, but I'm mainly saying you need to invest in your future today. And so that is with your retirements, so your 401ks, your 403bs, like all of those accounts that are offered to you from your 9 to 5, take advantage of them. Your
Yes.
employer is matching, do the
Yes.
match. Like look at these maximums that you can do per year and try to do as much as you can, because these tax savings, another thing in our community that's not known, a lot of these tax savings, they're there for our benefit to take advantage of, and we just need to know about them. Do you know that, so for 401k, there's like limits of the 18,000, but do you know that if you have your own business, if you're a small business owner, do you know those limits, what those limits are? I don't want to give the wrong number, but those limits are not $18,000. So there's
No.
a reason that a lot of other people have businesses and they're able to fund their retirement accounts a lot higher than $18,000. So these are things that you need to look at if you have a small business. And if you don't, look into trying to do as much as you can, because compounding interest is real. And so you need to put away for your future, because nobody can work forever. And yeah,
you're right. And I think about, like, my sister and I were just having this conversation over the weekend, and she came into the realization maybe over the last like 5 or 6 years, I haven't been investing in my 401k because she thought her disposable income was going to be lowered. And I was like, no, it's pre-tax. So you don't even have to worry about that. And then when she realized, oh my God, it's like $2 to $3, I didn't even miss it. But how many people are not doing it? And then if you are a 9 to 5er, and listen, there are those of us who are employedpreneurs. Yeah. So when you have a 9 to 5 and you transition, the fact that you can roll over your 401k to your next spot is just as important. I know, like, for my current role, we have a 401k, we have health spending accounts, but we also have a pension plan that they vest. So highly important. Like, my money is all through that. But I think it's something we need to think of, because we think day to day, and like you said, mindset is important, because it is pre-tax. You're not missing anything. And if you can spend $5 at Wendy's or Burger King or Chick-fil-A, you can definitely afford to put money in your 401k. And matching it's
real.
Like, it is the economy of heaven on earth. Like, I don't even have to put all that money in, but they match whatever I
match it. Exactly.
And you're right. I don't think we take advantage of every opportunity.
That's there.
We don't take time to ask either.
Exactly.
We automatically assume I'm not going to have my money. No, I'm not going to have my money.
And I think that comes from a lot of things. There's a lot of factors at play, but I like to tell people, like, at least put up until your company's match, because that's going to be double the money. Like, you're going to get double the money. And so that's at least the place to start. And then just keep increasing it, like every quarter, maybe every month, like just keep increasing it. Go in and just increase the amount that you're putting, because slowly you're not going to miss it from your check, and it's going to be beneficial for you. And like you said, those type of accounts, they tend to roll over. I mean, the pension, you probably have to be vested for it to roll over. So, but your retirement accounts can roll over. So if you do leave, you can take it with you. And so that's why insure and invest are my number 4 for money management, because the way I see it is, if you're not protecting what you create, you're not protecting everything, what's the point of doing it? Because anything can happen. And that's the point, right?
Absolutely. I think one of the things that we don't also, like, everyone loves the glorious look of what it looks like to be a full-time entrepreneur. But I don't think that we count the cost when it comes to insurance on your own. We count the cost when it comes down to, not only can I build my own 401k because I am my own company, but you can also have your own life insurance. And health insurance is really not that expensive, like from an actual broker. Like, I searched
on the market.
Yes, it's not that bad at all. So it really wasn't I didn't see a big difference. And I know $200 a month in health insurance, I've paid more than that for just
at
me
work
and my daughter. A month.
Some plans at work are not that cheap.
No, they're not. And that's why most companies have a health savings account, because you're still paying those high behind deductibles.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth the looking at it. And even
Yep.
when it comes down to investing beyond an IRA, investing beyond a 401k, what about the CDs and maybe
Yep.
a good client comes through and drops $10,000, you want to make sure you've funded all of the necessary accounts
Yep.
before you think you can play with that money and go buy a Birkin or a Maze or a
Yeah.
YSL. Make sure you're funding all the things you need.
Exactly. And I think the 4 steps can be applied to business owners as well. Maybe not the debt repayment. I mean, unless you can have business credit.
Business credit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But your healthy, like you need to have a working budget. Like you need to have a fiscal budget. Like you need to know what you're spending. You need to know where you're spending, and you need to be aware of it. You need to know if you're overspending. You need to know your variances. Like these are things you need to know as a business owner. And just the same way, you need to have emergency fund. You need to have funds. Like you need to have a separate account for your taxes. Like that's a definite must for business owners. You need to have a separate account that you can pay your quarterly taxes from.
Yep.
And you need to have insurance, and you need to look into investing and insuring when you're a business owner. And so I think they apply to business owners as well. So I think money management is something that goes across the board, and people just need to basically, it's just knowledge. Like it's not something that is beyond your scope of learning. I think you just need to learn it. Somebody just needs to teach it to you. And I think that's just where our community just needs help. But I don't think we can't do it.
You really make me feel like these conversations at small business conferences need to be had. Workshops need to be had in our communities. Seminars need to be had. Like, I'm here for all of the empowerment. I'm here for all the strategy on how to do, $10K in a month. But what happens with the money after the month?
Exactly.
And what happens when you start building? We talk about scaling and leveling up.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But then are you scaling your money?
Yeah. And so that's what I'm actually putting on, like a seminar, and it's basically nurture your finances. And so it's going to help. It's going to have personal finance and business finance, but it's going to be talking about what to do with your money, how to build generational wealth, it's going to have a money management section. It's going to have a budgeting section. It's going to have insurance section. It's going to be to tell people how to nurture their finances. And regardless of what step you are on your journey, you need to know how to manage your money, because you can have $100 or you can have $100,000. If you don't know how to manage your money, none of it's going to last. Like
exactly. You're always going to have to work to keep making.
Exactly.
And I don't even want to talk about like investments beyond just stocks and bonds, but I mean like investment real estate.
Yeah.
Yes. Like I think we need to become more savvy about how we handle our money.
Exactly.
So I am absolutely grateful for having you on the Purpose, Power, and Profit Society. You have definitely given the women something to think about and things to act on. Like your 4 tips were amazing. They literally could go and do those tomorrow, if not today, when it comes to spending. Like this is the thing. I wonder how many women are going to be at their bank accounts looking at the last 3 months.
Oh, I want a lot of them to. I think, and that's why I tell people to go back, because you can go back easily. You just go download it. Like you don't have to think about it. You literally can go do it right away. And you can start creating your categories. You can start seeing where you're spending.
Yeah, yes.
Because some people don't even realize that they spend $40 a week on Starbucks. And they might be like, okay, I really just need 10.
Yeah. Yeah, it's there. I could get a Keurig and get the Starbucks pods. Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just becoming aware. And so
I love it. And I really hope that this awareness sparks a level of activity that we've never seen before. I think that the movement is great towards debt freedom. I think it's great to, pay off things. I think it's great to bring in other income streams. But I think we need to be just as conscious about what we do with that money.
Yeah.
Get it into our accounts and how we make it flow easier.
Yeah,
so we don't have to work until we're 73. So that
exactly.
isn't our only source of income. And people don't have to coach until they're 85 on canes and walkers
Yep.
and still speaking from the stage trying to sell books. So
Yep.
I am absolutely grateful. Tell the ladies where they can find you on social media.
So I'm the Savvy Accountant, and so you can find me on Instagram, Facebook as the Savvy Accountant. My podcast is Live Financially Savvy, and so I'm on Instagram and Facebook, Live Financially Savvy. We're also on Twitter, so you can find us there. And yeah, so find me there. You guys can shoot me in a DM and I respond. You can shoot me a message on Facebook, I respond. Yeah, like I said, I created the Healthy Money Menu, so you can find that on the savvyaccountant.me. And so that's my personal site. And so, yeah, I have the Healthy Money Menu on there. And more information will come out about Nurture Your Finances. So
Awesome. Ladies, go check her out. This
thank you.
full of knowledge when it comes to your money and making sure it works for you and not you work for it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So listen, I'm Kymberly Smith. I'm your host of the Purpose, Power, and Profit Society. I hope you enjoyed your podcast today, your session with Atiya Brown. I feel like we're doing a one-on-one about money management tips to financial success. Catch us on the next episode. I am on Instagram at Purpose_Catalyst and also Facebook at Kymberly Smith Purpose Catalyst. All right, ladies, we'll see you later.
Bye.